The 2026 NFL Draft is in the history books, but the most insane part of the offseason is just getting started. Everyone is obsessed with the high-profile picks that made headlines, but here is a massive secret that casual fans miss. The real backbone of a Super Bowl-caliber roster isn't always built in the first round. It is built in the shadows, during the undrafted free agency frenzy. The Philadelphia front office has just pulled off a masterclass in aggressive talent acquisition. And frankly, the names they just pulled onto this 90-man roster are shocking. We aren't just talking about camp bodies here. We're talking about high-ceiling athletes who have the potential to steal a roster spot for veteran players. This is an absolute treasure hunt, and the Eagles have just started digging. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. Let's be real for a second. The way this organization builds a team is honestly a massive flex. They don't just look for football players. They look for freaks of nature. They look for guys with insane measurables who can be molded by their elite coaching staff. And when you look at who they just signed, you start to see a very specific, very intentional pattern emerging. It is calculated. It is precise. And if you aren't paying attention to these UDFAs, you're missing out on the future of this team. But wait until you hear the specific reason why two of these international prospects might be the most valuable signings of the entire weekend. The international gamble, let's talk about the International Pathway Program. This is becoming a major pipeline for Philadelphia. First on the list is Joshua Wiru, an edge rusher coming all the way from Kenya. Now, if you know anything about the Eagles' history, your ears should be perking up right now. They love guys with a rugby background, just like they did with the legendary Jordan Mailata. We all know how that experiment turned out. Mailata became a cornerstone of the offensive line. Now, they're trying to duplicate that success on the defensive side of the ball with Wiru. He is 6 feet 4 inches and 244 pounds of pure, raw, explosive energy. He hasn't played much in pads, which is a massive hurdle, but the raw athletic testing he put up at the showcase was nothing short of elite. He moves with a fluidity that you just cannot teach. Beside him, they've added Oriof Bernard, a defensive tackle from Nigeria. This guy is a total freak show. We're talking about pure, unadulterated athleticism. He doesn't have a deep football background, but he has the kind of speed and power combination that makes defensive coordinators salivate. Here is the genius part of this strategy. Because of the rules regarding the international pathway program, the team can stash these guys in the practice squad without them counting against the 53-man roster limit. It is essentially a free development year. If they get cut, they don't have to clear waivers, so the team can develop them in the system without the pressure of them being snatched up by another franchise. It is a brilliant way to hoard talent, and it could pay massive dividends in a year or two. The specialists and the sleeper next up. Let's pivot to the special teams. The front office identified a glaring hole and moved quickly to fill it. They brought in Rocco Underwood, a long snapper out of Florida. Before this, they didn't even have a true long snapper on the roster. Underwood is 6 feet 3 inches and 231 pounds, and he brings a wealth of experience, having played in 50 career games for the Gators. It's not the flashy position that gets jersey sales, but it is one of the most critical positions on the field. You lose a game because of a botched snap, and it is an absolute disaster. They needed stability, and they went out and got a guy who has been battle-tested in the SEC. But now, we need to talk about the name that has the entire scouting community buzzing. The absolute headliner of this undrafted class is Alabama linebacker Deontay Lawson. I am genuinely stunned that he went undrafted. This guy was a team captain for the Crimson Tide. He is a legitimate, high-level athlete. When he was playing at Alabama, people were drawing comparisons to Reuben Foster. Now, the comparison is interesting because Foster had all the talent in the world, but his career was derailed by off-field issues. For Lawson, the tape is solid, the instincts are there, and the leadership is unquestioned. Who's to blame for this guy slipping through the cracks? Was it the durability concerns? Was it just a weird draft board? Drop a name below and tell me why you think a team captain from Alabama went undrafted. Lawson is nearly 6 feet 3 inches and 224 pounds. He is a bit slender, but that is a frame that can handle some added muscle mass at the professional level. The production is undeniable. 89 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 recoveries in his last year. He has the pedigree of a 5-star recruit. He knows how to play in the big moments. He isn't a liability in coverage, and he has a nose for the football against the run. If he stays healthy, I think he's a lock to push for a spot on this roster. He is exactly the kind of gritty, high IQ player that fits this culture perfectly. But wait, there is even more competition coming for these spots, especially at the skill positions. The tight end and safety depth, let's shift to the pass catchers and the back end of the defense. Daquin Wright, a tight end out of Ole Miss, is a name you need to memorize. I honestly thought he would hear his name called during the draft. He is a physical, well-built tight end who dominated in the passing game. He stands at 6 feet, 3 inches, and 3/4, weighing in at 246 pounds. He is a yard-after-catch machine. Last season, he put up 39 catches for 635 yards. That is over 16 yards per catch, which is astronomical for a tight end. He scored 5 touchdowns, and he did it in a high-octane offense. He began his career at Virginia Tech before transferring, and he has been coached by some of the best offensive minds in college football. He is a master of using his catch radius to make tough plays. Now, does he need to refine his route running? Absolutely. But that is what the coaching staff is for. If they can clean up his technique, he could turn into a real weapon. Now, at the safety position, the team is getting aggressive. They drafted Cole Wisniewski, but they didn't stop there. They signed Tucker Large, a safety out of Washington State. This guy is 5 feet 10 inches and 181 pounds, and while he might be undersized by some standards, his production is huge. 71 tackles, 8 pass breakups. He was all over the field. He has that dog mentality where he isn't afraid to fly downhill and stick his nose into the run game. He is another one of these modern-era players who started at a lower level and proved he could play at a high level when he jumped up in competition. He is going to be a menace on special teams. And those are the guys who make the 53-man roster. The trenches and the finish, we cannot forget the trenches. Jaden Roberts, a guard out of Alabama, is a massive human being. He is 6 feet 5 inches and 345 pounds. They love these big school prospects from Alabama and Georgia. He has experience, having played in 37 games with 25 starts. He is a solid pass blocker who gave up only 1 sack last year. Is he a work in progress in the run game? Sure, but he has the size and the experience to develop into a reliable depth piece. And finally, we have to look at the secondary depth with Maximus Pulley out of Wofford and Kapinga Gushikin out of Ole Mississippi. Pulley is a fascinating case. He played at a smaller school, but his production was off the charts. 85 tackles, 5 interceptions, and 10 pass breakups. That is big-time playmaking ability. Then you have Gushikin, who transferred from Washington State to Ole Mississippi. He is a bit smaller, but he has the versatility to potentially carve out a role in the defensive backfield or on special teams. The team has been very clear that they feel incomplete at the safety position. So, do not be surprised if we see them try to swing a trade for a veteran safety later in the summer. They might look for someone who is on the chopping block with another team, someone with that veteran presence to stabilize the room. The final verdict when you look at this entire list, Wiru, Bernard, Underwood, Lawson, Wright, Large, Roberts, Pulley, and Gushikin, you start to see a theme. This is not just a collection of random names. This is an attempt to inject raw athleticism and high pedigree talent into the bottom of the roster. Lawson and Wright, in particular, are guys who are going to make the established veterans sweat during rookie minicamp and training camp. They're going to push the depth chart. They're going to make those positional battles brutal. And honestly, that is exactly what you want. You want competition. You want every single player, from the starters down to the UDFAs, fighting for their lives to make this team. It raises the floor of the entire organization. We're going to be tracking these guys closely. We're going to see who steps up, who fades away, and who makes that jump to become the next hidden gem. The Eagles have done their homework. They have targeted specific traits, specific backgrounds, and specific athletic profiles. Now, it is time to see who actually has the grit to make it in the league. This isn't just about names on a piece of paper. It's about building the kind of roster that can withstand the grind of a long NFL season. We have an incredible journey ahead of us with minicamp just around the corner. Who are you most excited to see in action? Is it the raw power of the international prospects or the polished SEC pedigree of Deontay Lawson? Do you think any of these guys have a legitimate shot at becoming a starter, or are they all just depth pieces for the practice squad? Let me know your thoughts, because this roster is going to look a whole lot different by the time the season kicks off. Keep your eyes on the practice field, keep watching the tape, and keep that energy up, because the quest for another trophy starts right here, right now, with these undrafted free agents. We're going to continue to monitor these players, track their progress, and break down every single rep they get in camp. This is where the legends start, and I can't wait to see who rises to the top. Stay tuned, because the off-season coverage here is only going to get crazier from here.